This researcher is trying to improve industry.
Like this?
She's using nanotechnology, which works at an extremely small scale, at the level of atoms and molecules. Over the last few years, the CSIR has pumped tens of millions of rands into using nanotechnology to make South African industries like cosmetics and plastics more competitive. But government knows in business, it's not innovation, but the bottom line that rules.
If industry is in a weak state, then they will not look at new technologies unless it brings a big advantage and cost savings. So this is where nanotechnology can play a role, and we're hoping it will play a role.
Government believes the way to improve the overall outlook for the country would be to raise the levels of research and development. South Africa spends just 0.76% of GDP on research and development. That's just half government's goal of 1.5%. To put it in global context, in 2011, the United States spent $400 billion. In the same year, the equivalent spend in South Africa was just $4 billion. That's 100th the amount. But government alone can't improve research outputs. Business buy-in is needed.
Where I would like to really see improvement is a private sector partnership with the public sector. We're making some strides toward that, but I really want to see far stronger partnerships. Of course, South Africa must increase its research funding in order to attract much more private sector funding. We stand at around 60% by the state, 40% by the private sector.
Many small businesses would never venture into manufacturing due to lack of infrastructure and skills. But the CSIR's Biomanufacturing Industrial Development Centre has ploughed 50 million rand into helping these small businesses. The companies can now bring their prototypes, and the CSIR uses cutting-edge technology to enhance the products and mass-produce them for the market.
Investors are quite risk-averse, I think, in South Africa, and they want companies that are already in the market. But without the investment, they can't get into the market. So we look at really filling that bottleneck or overcoming that bottleneck. So we work with SMEs, develop manufacturing technologies, develop products with them, allow them to get into the market.
But for the economy to really grow, the country needs more than small companies. Multinational investments are of paramount importance. In 2012, $1.4 trillion was spent on research and development worldwide, 80% of it in just 10 countries. Getting investment from big spenders like Google and Apple is highly competitive. Companies want to take the shortest, quickest route possible to success in countries with the best skills. South Africa offers tax incentives to companies that spend on research. It's positioned itself to attract global players. But 3 years after a new system was put in place, some companies are still waiting to be registered for the incentive. It's the result of massive backlogs in the system.
I often get asked by clients, multinationals, what's the best decision? Do we invest in South Africa for research and development, or do we go to Brazil, or do we go to India? And unfortunately, it's because of the ease of administration of them attracting and obtaining the R&D tax benefit, coupled with the lower cost of actually undertaking the research in those countries, is where South Africa becomes a distant third.
But both the minister and the private sector are confident that teething problems within the system will soon be ironed out. And hopefully South Africa will soon be able to start translating its vast body of research into innovative technologies and ultimately jobs on the ground. Teresa Taylor, Johannesburg.